There she is.
There I am. Can you see me?
There she is. I've got the music in the background. And I want you to tell the Crip community about this song once I play a little bit of it. What's up, Crip community? What's up? I don't own the rights to this music, but Dr. Shaia sure does. I'm going to tell you in a minute. So, I'm just quiet for a second.
We're living in Hawaii, we begging for a blessing. Getting on our knees in front of the devil will get us to heaven. Every time we protest, we lose a life or two. With that burner on his belt, he wanted you to blow a fuse. Don't you ever get tired of seeing.
I wish we could play the whole song, but I do want you to tell the folks a little bit about that in a second.
They played in the sand with a liberation piece will come to no man. No scars on our backs, we died, we stand. Modern day slavery got us chained to the land.
Wow, wow, wow. Crip community, welcome, 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 Crip community to 30 at 8:30. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am beyond, like I told you guys when I was jib-jabbing before, that I'm so excited about. I'm always excited about our guests, but this guest I'm particularly excited about for many reasons. But let me do my intro before I go off the rails. Crip community, welcome to 30 at 8:30. For those of you newly joining us, 30 at 8:30 is an Instagram live show coming from the Center for Research and Innovation for Black Survivors of Homicide Victims, aka the Crib, where every Wednesday night we hold the space for 30 minutes to have candid conversations about structural inequities and homicide and so many violent, traumatic incidents that impact some of our most vulnerable. Tonight, tonight, I am joined by Dr. Wendy Shaia, my good friend and a prolific scholar and the author of The Black Cell. This season, season 4 of 30 to 8:30 is entitled From the Front Lines. And some of you may be wondering, okay, author, Black Cell, From the Front Lines, I'm not making that connection. But if you were following and you're picking up what I was putting down in the intro, the promo of 30 to 8:30 this season, I was talking about those unsung heroes, those individuals who do the everyday heavy lifting of addressing issues of social injustice and using so many gifts that they have. Poets, artists, and authors such as Dr. Wendy Shaia tonight. So I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to do her bio. And oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see you, sweetie. Okay, I got it. There it is.
Likewise.
I'm going to do her bio and then we're going to get into it. All right. Dr. Wendy Shaia is a clinical associate professor and the executive director of the Social Work Community Outreach Services, SWACOS, for the University of Maryland School of Social Work, located in Baltimore, Maryland, in the US. And she is also a faculty affiliate with the Crib. Dr. Shaia has over 30 years of experience developing, implementing, and leading organizations and programs. Her passion for issues related to poverty and social justice and oppression have facilitated her work in developing and operating programming for some of our most vulnerable communities. A British-born Jamaican living in Maryland, I'm sure now, I should just wait. You're going to get all kinds. Okay, let me say it again. A British-born Jamaican living, see, there, I knew it. I knew it was coming. I wanted to wait for your, it is heavy and thick up here.
Daddies, my young are on, yes.
You get all the love.
Come, on the come.
A British-born Jamaican living in Maryland, United States, Wendy has always dreamed of being a writer. Her real life, however, included a satisfying job as a social work professor and mother to a large, joyful, blended family whom I love. Shout out to the fam. As videos of police killings of Black people went viral on social media and on the news, Wendy began writing. She began writing as an emotional release, and The Black Cell was born. She is currently working on the sequel of The Black Cell. I didn't know this. See, you just stealth-like. I'm talking to you all the time, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I just create. Okay, I digress. When she isn't writing, Wendy is most likely gardening, dancing, swing, or listening to her young adult children roast each other. Crib community, please give a heartfelt Crib welcome to my sister friend, my colleague, and the author of The Black Cell, Dr. Wendy Shaia. Woo-hoo!
It's really good to be here with you. And I see some of my family are on all my big blended family. I see some folks on. My daughter Domino is on, and I'll keep looking to see who else. But
fantastic! Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, yes. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much. Yeah. All right. Wendy, you know, we were chit-chatting before this, and I was telling the Crib community before you joined that I couldn't get enough. I had so many questions to ask, and I was like, we have 30 minutes. We have 30 minutes. So y'all just buckle up your seats, because I know my sister friend she's going to tell it. She's going to tell it. Okay? So just get ready. All right. So I want to start real slow, real graceful, as we often do, and just ask, what drew you to this depth and breadth of work? What drew you to this work?
Mm-hmm. You know, so I'm an academic, and so we do academic writing, but I really started thinking about the fact that academic writing is not intended for everyone, and that it's not accessible in so many ways, both in the language we use and in, you know, where it is placed. And so it's really created for other academics, and that's the reality. But racism, that's everybody's problem. That's not just an academic problem. So I really began to ask, how do we get to talk about racism in a way that everybody can understand? I sort of set a benchmark as my mother. My mother had an ADHD, and she was a brilliant woman. I wanted to write for people like her. I wanted to write for people the young person who's never going to read an academic journal, but that maybe we could begin a conversation about how do we get together as Black people for Black liberation. And that's really the conversation I want to have. And in order to have that conversation, everybody's got to be at the table. It cannot be elitist and just for the people with a certain level of education, or a certain socioeconomic status. Everybody's got to be at the table, because we can't do this unless everybody's involved.
That's right. Racism is not an academic problem. It's a universal, a global problem.
A human problem.
A human problem. A human problem. Crib community, hello. This is how we starting off. This is how we starting off. Okay. So I want to sort of transition into getting into the Black Cell. And I want you to give everybody the details later on, like just where we can get it, how we can get access, all of that good stuff. But this season, as I indicated, of 30 to 30, we're having conversations with individuals who serve on the front lines, right? Addressing issues of systemic injustice, structural inequity. And I believe when we actually were having a conversation, your book, and I've read at least the first 5 chapters, I believe your book, The Black Cell, is a form of artistry and activism. And so you've talked about sort of what inspired you to use to write it, but what inspired you in particular to use the platform? You talked about making it accessible, but how do you think it's going to further continue the wave that you want ignited, in, I guess, of activism with Black people?
Yeah, well, you know, so it's interesting. When I first wrote this book, I stopped and went, oh my goodness, Wendy, what have you done? You have written this book, and, you know, people are going to expect you to lead the way in this Black liberation movement. But I've since really rethought that. And you know, I think about Black liberation as being the body, right? Black community is the body. Everybody's got a different part to play. So, you know, I don't have to do it. Somebody else is going to pick those ideas up and take it someplace else. Somebody else is going to bring a group of people together and talk about it. I have to do it all, but we do all have to be involved. And so I thought of fiction as a way to imagine a future, just to dream, right? Because if we can't dream it, we can't make it happen. And so it's so hard to dream a future where Black people and people who are interested in Black liberation, and I want to be really clear, this book is not for everybody. This book is for Black people and others who are interested in Black liberation. That's it.
Hello.
It is not for the people who do not believe in Black liberation, but for those of us who, for whom this is a goal, because we understand that because Black people sit at the bottom of every measure of well-being, that if we don't lift from the bottom, we won't lift everybody. If we start lifting from the middle, the people at the bottom get left behind. So we got to go scoop from the bottom, which means that we've got to have a way of working that is so accessible that every single person can begin to have this conversation. I just wanted to start a conversation.
Okay. Just wanted to start a conversation about this little thing. This little thing. But what I also find interesting just now when you said it's hard to dream a future. And you say it so many times in the chapters and the stories of Corey and is it Tasia?
Yeah, Tasia.
About the structural inequities that make it difficult for them to dream, that are reaped in an anti-Black racism.
Well, our societies are designed for that, for it to be difficult for us to dream. I mean, ever since we were on the plantation, our dreams were taken away from us, right? Because if we can't dream, we can't communicate, we can't build skills. Those things, were all taken away from us. So for many of us, the dream isn't there. And I wanted us to create the dream, that we can see something and say, okay, I can see a possible end goal. Now let's chart a path to get there. But if you can't see the end goal, what does the path look like?
Right. Wow. I'm looking for my mic drop music. I can't. I'm so engrossed. I'm just gonna focus on the conversation and stop looking over here. It's just okay. So I want to ask another question, and I want to take a deep dive and read an excerpt into the Black Cell. 2 weeks ago, the Crib hosted a film screening entitled "Invisible Wounds," and it's a short film we made in collaboration with Black survivors of homicide victims. And I came up with the title because survivors of homicide victims, their pain, their wounds are often invisible to the untrained eye. And you too uplift this discussion of this form of pain, of invisibility in your novel. And I was struck by an excerpt in particular in your book that highlights yet another form of invisibility that is inherently violent. So if I may share with the Crib community this evening, I'm hoping I have it set up. Oops, it lost its way already. Here we go. It says, where is it? I had it highlighted and it just went away. No one at school knew how hungry Tasia was. And no one ever asked. Even when she sat alone in the cafeteria with her book while the other kids ate, no one asked. Even when her clothes were dirty because she didn't know how to take them to the laundromat, no one asked. Even when her clothes were clearly too small and her hair uncombed, no one asked. The teachers just wrinkled their noses up at her when they walked past and stayed more than an arm's length away. They focused their attention on the kids who talked back, fought the teachers, and ran out of class. Tasia didn't do any of these things. She got good grades and stayed to herself, hoping no one would hear her stomach rumbling. She was invisible. Now, I just don't know if you saw the hearts in the chat that were going up.
Yeah.
I want to unpack that why is it so important to understand the complex nature of structural inequities as forms of violence, to understand how we can obtain Black liberation?
Yeah, I think, you know, I think that there are lots of narratives about people, about Black people. There is the narrative of the Black single mother.
Mm-hmm.
I've been that woman, so I am very familiar with
my
that.
mama too. My mama, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we, you know, our society likes to make up stories to justify the structural racism that we experience.
Tell it.
We make up a
Tell
narrative,
it.
we make up a tale. In this book, and let me just say, I didn't make up anything in this book. Every character is based on a composite of people I know. Every incident that happens in the event is based on something that actually happened in real life. So I want to say that I didn't make. But this idea of Tasia being invisible. So what happens is she goes on. Her mother, you know, has been using drugs, and she is trying to make it. What we don't know is what somebody has to go through to get to where we see them. We have no idea what a child might go through in the morning. By the time we see them at school, we have no idea. They have lived a month that morning. They have experienced a month's worth of challenges, and they have still gotten to school. Maybe they got there late. Maybe they didn't have their books, but they got there. And most times the narrative does not include that. It does not include the story. So Tasia goes on, she meets somebody who loves her, and she gets involved, and she has a baby. This Black single mother story is so much deeper than that. It's really about a young woman who was looking for love because she was so invisible in her life. Everything about her life was invisible. And so there are so many people walking through the world like that and sitting in our schools. And there are lots of teachers who look at children and only see what they don't have, only see what they don't do wrong, but they don't see the resilience and the strength of character it took to get into that seat that morning.
That's right. What someone has to go through to make us see them. You know, you're reminding me of something that I often tell my students, which is when you do this work from a trauma-informed lens, it is your responsibility to ask the question, not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you?
What happened to you? What happened to you? And just really quickly, I do want to say that the character of Corey is based on somebody that was real in my life. You will see at the beginning of the book that the book is actually dedicated to Corey, and Corey was a young man that was a part of my family many years ago. Probably in his 30s now. He was 15 years old when he came to us as a foster child, and Corey was killed at the age of 15. And it's so funny because I realized that only the people who've known me for a very long time even know that Corey, because I never talk about him. And I keep thinking about, so back to that silence and invisible, the pain that was just so incredibly intense. And I think that for me, thinking about this story and thinking about the Corey who's in the book, gives voice, gives a voice to my Corey that he didn't have,
Yes.
And it for me, it gives me an opportunity to, and I felt a lot of guilt for a long time about Corey's death. So that's probably one of the reasons I didn't talk about it, because I was like, surely we could have done something to have stopped it, whatever. But Corey was on the streets, and he was a victim of a child welfare system that did not care about him. They didn't care if he lived or died, and so in some ways it's an opportunity. Corey in the book goes on. He has a difficult life, but he goes on to do amazing things, and it's just kind of giving me some closure around my own Corey, so that I can feel like I think this world didn't do him right, and the person who killed him was never caught.
Yeah.
But maybe he can live on in this book.
Wendy, you have such a gift. I mean, you always have had a gift and a talent for just speaking such formidable truths in such an elegant way. And I just thank you for that. And I know it hasn't been easy to do that. So I just want to thank you for that.
I appreciate that.
Oh my God, I'm so proud of you. Okay, sorry, let me stop. So you and I have been friends. We've been friends for a long time, and we've had conversations about the impact of experiencing cumulative Black death. And we've had conversations about cumulative Black death and its impact on communities we serve as a result of chronic exposure to police brutality, firearm fatality and injury, white supremacy, and anti-Black racism. But as someone who's committed their life to addressing and responding to these injustices, how do you cope with the weight of that? How do you cope with it?
I write. You know, it's either it's going to come out or it's going to go in, right? So when we know what happens, you know, it was so interesting because I have lupus, and so I was at the lupus walk on Saturday, and so it's overwhelmingly Black women. And one of my girlfriends said, so lupus is the Black woman's response to living in racist America. Because I'm from Jamaica and I am not aware of the levels of lupus there. Now maybe it's there, but it's a Black country, right? So it kills us. That's what happens. It kills us. It goes inside and it becomes a poison. It becomes a cancer inside of us that grows and grows. So what I realized was that my grief was going to kill me. I couldn't figure my way out. And so this is what happens. I find that writing and having that vision for a potential future gives me hope. I know that my ancestors and your ancestors walked some tough roads for you and I to be where we are right now.
Ashe.
And so for me, it is the very least I can do to try to figure out how to be in the game and how to stay in the game. Now, sometimes I have to get out for self-preservation, right? Sometimes you got to step out the ring so that you can, you know, hose yourself down and drink some water and get some love before you go back in. And it's really important to be able to recognize when you need to do that. That's still something I'm still learning that.
You and I both. I'm honestly, I'm sitting here, I have goosebumps, and it's literally, my heart is racing because, well, you know this. It's something that what you're saying, I know is to be true, but we don't often practice. For sure.
Yes.
Wow. So I can't believe, oh my gosh, it's 8:56. See, this is what I'm saying. I had to cut it down to 5. Okay. The bring me home question, take me home, is this. Your novel, The Black Cell, is going to be released on October 1st, 2022. Or is it?
Yesterday, actually.
But I'm sorry. It was released yesterday.
But
the Black Cell was released yesterday. Okay, so sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, but the print version is sold out.
Sold out, folks. The printed version is sold out.
On Amazon. So Amazon is supposed to restock. But you know, you can call your local bookstore and ask them to order it. It is available on Kindle, though, on Amazon. You can get it on Kindle now. Or,
you know, I have U.S. cousins and family coming up in a couple of weeks. Call me if you want to place your order, and I'll have it. I mean, just saying, we can make these happen. Because you must read this book, The Black Cell. You must read it. Anyway, I digress. So you have to go get your copy on Amazon or whether emailing me. I'm really afraid about what I just started just now. I might be afraid. So in the synopsis of the book, you state that The Black Cell is unapologetically targeted to Black readers and others interested in Black liberation, as you stated here tonight. So what is your greatest hope for the impact of The Black Cell on both Black readers and others interested in Black liberation? What is your greatest hope?
So one of my areas of focus for writing this book was for us to really come to terms with our history as a people. Because if we don't understand our history, we can't understand our future. And we can't recognize when we're going in circles and recreating the same history over and over again. We won't know it when we see it. And so the first thing is we need to be conversant about our history. Now, I'm an immigrant in this country, so I have been trying to learn a lot about American history, and I'm sure you're learning about Canadian history, and right? So that we're learning it, But we have to be able to have conversations. We have to be able to say, ah, I see what's going on here. This little thing that white America has given us, or white Canada has given us, is just purely symbolic. Oh, first Black president, lovely, wonderful, purely symbolic. Nothing. We have to be able to, or else we will, you know, as my friend Adar says, if you don't know your history, you are like a newborn baby. Anybody can tell you anything and you'll believe it. We have got to know.
You're likely to repeat it.
And you're likely to repeat it, right? And so if that is the start, I'd be so happy with that.
Oh my gosh. Wendy, time went by too fast. We have to have you back on again. I mean, I know you're going to do the closeout session, but I'd love to have you back again, or actually perhaps have you in person. Absolutely. Here at U of T in Canada. Would folks like that? I just want to test the crib community waters there. Would folks like that? I know there's already hearts are coming up. Yeah, I think we'll have to make that happen. We'll have to make that happen. So folks, even though the book is sold out on Amazon, wait, it's going to be reordered, restocked very soon. It was released, it was released yesterday and it's sold out. I just need you to understand.
Well, people have been ordering it since May, so, you know, they did pre-orders. So.
But I think it says something to the fact that you are making the folks who've been invisible visible. You're giving voice to so many individuals who have felt voiceless. And I think people have been waiting with bated breath to be seen, to be held, for truths to be uplifted. And you're doing exactly that, as you always do. So for that, my sis, I am forever grateful.
Thank you.
Grateful.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you. And of course, we know that you are doing so much of the same.
Thank you.
You know, I'd love to come and talk more, and yeah, let's do it.
Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Crib community, I cannot believe 30 minutes went by so fast. But as always, I just want to thank you, Dr. Wendy Shaia, for sharing your gifts with us this evening. And as always, crib community, from our crib to yours, stay safe and keep well. Good night.
Good night.